Hello viewers and welcome to this new video. Today we are in my laboratory as usual, even though it has been a long time since I've been here and since I've posted a YouTube video. Today we are with my RC car RX7 1/16 scale. So let's get right into it, seeing the details of the car. So before you comment how the chassis looks, because I know it doesn't look really well, it's out of shape for an RX7 and all that stuff, I want to say that it looks like an RX7 but it's not really like one. I mean, it's on scale 1/16 and it's not an actual RX7, it's like a copy without copyright, if you know what I'm saying. So it's pretty much like a knockoff RX7. But it does look like such and I really like it. It's probably my second favorite car, so I'm really happy about it. And before you comment about how bad it has done, I mean, this car has like 15 years and I've been using it for the last year basically, because it was not actually my car, it was my cousin's. He really likes cars more than me and he's a better driver, he knows more. But since he doesn't really know how to fix stuff and I do, and we often cooperate, I decided to take the car which wasn't working and make it work, and here it is. So now let's talk about the car itself. This is a third generation Mazda RX-7, the FD, and that's just the chassis. It's been grey and blue for a long time, which is the stock color. I think inside you can see it. But I decided to paint it orange, and because it has been wrecked a lot, as you can see, like from here and in the front it's all messed up. I decided to paint it red now. Now it's red, even though it still looks like it's green, it's like a weird shape of red. But over with that, we have some stock wheels from the RC car where it came out. I don't know the name, I just know that it's from a company called Radio Control with a K in it, and it's a 1/16 scale. It came with a brushed motor, which was fine, and the wheels are actually not drift tires, they are really grippy, but I've done some modification that I'm gonna show you. So to open it up, we have these two clips that we can take off and put away, right there. So we have these two chassis mounts and we can lift the car from the back. On the front we have a magnet, so we can just like lift it up and the magnet is gonna disconnect, and here is the inside. So as you can see, this is the inside of the body. I've painted the dark red for the rear taillights, and on the front is like all messed up. You can see the original color palette here. It's like a gray, even though it seems like white and blue. And yeah, it's really messed up. Here we have some tape. There is the magnet that actually holds up pretty well because it's glued. I didn't want to take off the tape though, because who else sees it? In here we have the magnet that holds the car body, and here we have the stands which the clips go in. I have these two little screws to avoid the body going too low. Then we can go off with the specifications basically. So this is an all-wheel drive car with double wishbone suspension front and rear. As you can see, it's actually well damped. We have the drive shafts. I don't know if you can see them right there. I'm spinning the wheels and you should be seeing them rotating, maybe. Well, whatever. So it's four-wheel drive, so front and rear wheels are spinning at the same time. It has an open differential in the front. As you can see, the wheels spin independently, basically. And on the rear, it has an open differential, but I've locked it, so the wheels spin together for better drifting. About the tires, as you can see, on the bottom they are actually pretty grippy. I don't know if you can see, maybe we find the tire, like here for example you see the sidewall. The sidewall is very grippy inside, but I've put some tape on it that actually works pretty well. It's pretty solid, and although it's all messed up now, it really works fine. Inside you can see a drive shaft that comes from the rear transmission and goes all the way up to the front, to the differentials, and the rear is the same too, but the gear of the transmission is directly connected to the rear differential, which actually blew up a time and I had to buy it new, but it works fine now. The steering is controlled by a servo motor, that is basically this one. I don't know where it comes from, but it was a stock from the car. It's really old and dusty, as you can see, but it works really well. It's not that quick, but it's just fine for an all-wheel drive car. It drives, of course, steers the front wheels, and it works decent. Something else I want to say about the steering is that I wanted to try and make it a little bit more angle, because I wanted this to be a rear-wheel drive drift car, as an RX7 of course, because they are not all-wheel drive, they are rear-wheel drive. And so the problem here is that the steering is not going that far, so it's uncontrollable. You can disconnect the drive shafts on the front and make it a rear-wheel drive car, but it doesn't work really well because of the steering, that, as you can see. You can't really control a drift with this much steering angle, it's just not enough. And the problem here is that if I do it more, the wheel is gonna touch the suspension and I have to move it, but with this space I can't do anything to avoid that. And now we come to the fun part, the electronics. So except for the servo, the else is all aftermarket basically. The battery is a you can't read it because it's gone, but here it used to be 2200 milliamps hour. So it lasts a decently long time for me, like half an hour if I go like full throttle all the time, and it's just fine for me. It's a 2S LiPo, so it's 7.4 volts, I think, around that. You can charge it with this port, which goes into a plug that you connect to the wall. Then we have these cables that go to the ESC. So this is an ESC and motor combo I got from Amazon. I'm gonna put the link in the description because it's the only thing I got from the internet. The others I just got them around, I don't know where. So this is the only thing I'm gonna put in the description. This is a 2 or 3S ESC connected with this motor. It's brushless, as you can see it has 3 cables. It goes around 3900 kV, which means that for every volt of power it goes 3900 RPM, which is fine. I'm going for 7.4 volts, so it's like 30,000 RPM motor, and it works insanely good for this car because it's small actually. You can see my hand is right here. Maybe for some of you it's big, but in 1/16 scale this is actually pretty small. Also, without the transmission, which are these 2 gearing, as you can see they are pretty loud, especially when they're running. The motor itself is pretty silent. In fact, when I tested it the first time without the transmission, it really was silent, and I thought I messed something up because I didn't hear it. It's so smooth, but it works pretty fine. Then we come to the receiver, which is this one. This is a FlySky receiver with the radio control, which is the one I use for my RC boats and ships that I have right there, as you can see. But back to the car, this is not really the ideal setup, but I'm used to it so much that I pretty much enjoy playing it, also because I have some simulators, and when I don't have the steering wheel, I play with the joystick, which is pretty similar to this one. So it's time to turn it on. We can turn on the ESC with this switch. It makes a cool sound. And then we have our radio controller, which we can switch on. As you can see, this is actually a WRX tune. It's not really meant for this car, but it works fine. I use this lever for the steering. As you can see, it's not really fast, but it works just fine for me, since it has not much steering angle. And this other one is for the throttle, which I'm gonna go. It's actually pretty loud with the transmission, as I said, but really works fine actually. I really like the noise that it makes. This actually goes on 70% power. As you can see, if I go in endpoints, you can see that channel 2, which is the throttle one I'm using, it's actually on 70% front and rear. So it doesn't overrev the engine, and so the battery lasts longer, even because I'm not using full throttle all the time, so 70% works just fine. As you can see, channel 4 also is what I use for the steering, which is tuned to go perfect, as you can see. So now it's time to put the body back on. We can put the front first, where the magnet is. As you can see, it clicks in basically, and then we can line back the rear and put it inside the stands, if I can, just like that. And then we can take our clips and put them back in, just like that, and align the front, which, as you can see, is not really centered, and we can go drive it. So I do not have much space in here, but you can see my controller right here, and I'm gonna show you some tricks I've been using around. I'm also gonna make some videos in editing later, because I've driven it a lot when it was older, but it's basically the same setup as before, just the color is orange instead of red. I actually painted it yesterday. So as you can see, it really goes around well. Going slow, at low speed actually it's quite messy because the motor is not very smooth at low speeds, but at high speeds I'm gonna show you. And that is it. Yeah, that's some tricks. I'm gonna show you some other clips, but for now I'm just gonna show you the, since this is tuned to be a drift car, how to start a drift, which is in my case, I have here the throttle, front and rear, and here is the steering. And just to initiate a drift, I use this technique, which is basically a braking drift. So you go forward, and when it's time to start a drift, you go left if you want to go right, like the movie Cars. But in this case, we want to drift towards the right, so basically like this, but with drifting. So we have to slow the car down to shift the weight in the front, and we can lift off the rear, and then we can go with the throttle. So I'm gonna show you this. Of course, when it's going slow, you can really pump the throttle up and it's gonna drift. But when you're already going some kind of fast, you have to slow down to shift the weight. And that is it. I'm gonna show you some clips now and see you later. And this is it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed everything I've made today. Also, I'm sorry if I haven't posted any videos in the last, I don't know, year or such, but I've really been busy and I didn't know what videos to make because honestly I have no really good ideas except this one, which I'm really having fun with. So without anything left to say, I hope you have enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a comment if you want to see more of this and other, and leave like if you liked, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye!